Whoo-wee, what's going on YouTube? It's Donnie B all day. So, I'm excited to bring you this video because it means that what we have here in front of us is awesome. So, let's start with a quick run by. Because you already know what's here. You've read it. Whoop. Let's do it that way where it's right. So today we have a battle of the blades, and it's not just a battle of the blades, it's a battle of combat blades and the most well-known, most famous, most seen in the world combat style blade, right? We have in the blue corner the K-bar utility, right? Commonly known as the USMC, not this one. Versus the dbad war machine. dbad. So we are going to get into this. Let's get into sheaths first, because both of these are leather sheathed, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So let's get into it. Both are belt sheaths, right? You can see that they each have a nice little belt loop, and they come down. The K-bar sheath has a lanyard hole right here, and that's good and all, but now you throw your lanyard over it, and what happens is over time it can make this fray and pull a little bit, which you see even without that, this sheath begins to chunk up after a while. The leather on this sheath is really... it's nice. Gosh, I love this. But it's thin. It's thin, so down in here, over time, as you're slipping the blade in and out, it gets thin. And I can put my finger right here, and I don't know if the light is going to be able to reflect that. You see how thin that is? It's really thin at this point. But it's sewn, it's riveted. But it's this. It's very, very narrow. When looking at the dbad sheath made by the Kukri House, look at the difference. Look at the leather, the stacked leather, and how thick it is, and how robust and wonderful. So you see how this flaps, this one doesn't. It's just because it's really, really thick. Where this one is riveted, the belt loop is riveted and sewn on. This belt loop is integrated into the backside of the sheath, which I like, is really good. But this one is just thick and burly and strong. Then it comes down to lanyard hole versus lanyard hole. Well, look at this. This is how you do a lanyard strap, right? That is how you do a strap for a leg strap down. It is awesome. Very thick, built extremely well, and I mean it's not, you can't hide it. That's really what it is. That's the difference in thickness. It's insane. So we see that. Let's see this now. The K-bar, I believe this is 1095 Crovan steel, which is great, right? Everything about this knife works. It works. It's just a good knife. Hold on one second. I thought You Got Mossed was coming on. It wasn't. All right, so let's get into this. Here's what I love and don't love about the K-bar. And this knife is the reason I designed that knife. Because I love this knife, but don't love this knife. And when you have a knife of such historical properties, you think to yourself, well, it should be all of that. So when it wasn't all of that, when it failed to be all of that, I said, it's got to change. You got to remember that a long time ago, there was a hunting knife company that was sold out, and that's where you get your Remington knives and the R2s, and you had all these war knives were made out of a bought factory. They bought a hunting knife factory, but they used all the same platform, they used all the same materials, and they continued to make the hunting knives only as a combat knife, and they changed it up. So when you see those USN knives, like I showed you, I have a video, look it up. And don't forget, if you have never subscribed to this channel before, subscribe to this channel. And there's a donate thing down there. If you've never donated $1 million, now's the time. So what they did is they just repurposed a hunting knife and called it a combat knife. The problem is that doesn't fly, because for a hunting knife, the weight distribution and the hold of the knife isn't the same as something you would need for combat. And the shape of the blade, perfect. It's a great combat shape, right? It's a great combat shape. It does the job, but it's here, this area right here, when you're talking about a combat knife. And remember, it was a utility knife, not a combat knife. So their first thought wasn't, okay, well, you know, you guys are going in with guns, so you're not going to need the knife out of it. You're going to need it to open up your cans of food, dig a little hole, maybe cut some line, do something like that. That's what this knife was intended for. It wasn't never made to be a fighting knife. It was just an awesome hunting knife made better. And that's exactly what it was. So where it fell short was, besides the really skinny guard, it is a stick tang, which means here you have about an inch thick, somewhere in there. Let's see how wide this blade is. Let's see. We're looking at 1 1/4 inches, somewhere just a little bit over that, somewhere in there. So it's a very narrow blade. And when you get to here, it obviously is much more narrow. And that's what happens, is the blade goes like this, and then it goes boop, and then stick all the way to the end. It's not a rat tail. That's how wide your tang is right there. That's it. That's your tang. So you leave yourself with a weak spot. What they did ingeniously, however, was they pinned it on. I really, really appreciate that. Then they did this stacked leather, which is beautiful. You have all these little lines right here. It traps body heat. It repels moisture. It's really, really well done for that. In the hunting world, it was good because, you know, you're digging into an animal and you're getting blood and all that's wet. You need some kind of grip. So that would go in. You're hunting in the winter a lot. So it's little things like that that were needed. The problem is they did almost no contouring. It is a round leather. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to squeeze, and I don't have to go too hard. Look at this, spinning the entire blade, and I'm squeezing here and I'm barely turning here. If this was built better, if they had a better handle, that wouldn't happen. If it was full tang, this wouldn't be needed. The weight would be right. If it was a little bit wider, a little bit longer, then the blade would be more devastating. And that's where this thing failed. Everything else about it was great. So what did we need to do? Let's figure it out. Oh, you know what? We didn't even go over total measurements. We're looking at, that's what I wanted to do. We're looking at 12 1/4 inches overall. And you're looking at about a 7-inch blade. That's what you get out of that. So now, let's turn our sights to this beast of a knife right here. To make up for the weak balancing, right? We needed to go full tang. It needed to be full tang. So it gets rid of this giant pommel at the end, which throws the weight way off. I mean, way off. Next, we needed to figure out a way how to make it sit in the hand so it's not going to go anywhere. If I try to turn it, let's see if I can get it around. I'm really squeezing and I'm really, really turning, and it's going, but it's just killing my hand because I'm really spinning the crap out of that. It's in there. It's going to fit your grip. We have the oversized fullers because we have the double edge. That's right. We do have a sharpened swedge. A sharpened swedge. We didn't get to there. You see the difference. Thick. It had to be thick. It has to be strong. Now, when you're talking about strength, not only that, but look at this. It's double the thickness in the guard. It has to be a robust guard. It has to be tough. I even put in a little bit of indentures right here to help with the grip. So when you put your thumb there or when you put your finger here, you're always having grip. I maintained, see these little lines right here, these thin little grooves. If they're too big, it doesn't work. So you see these tiny grooves, they're not made for grip. This is made for grip. These are made for both heat retention in your hand and to pass off sweat and liquids. They run as channels to help keep your grip very, very good. I love holding this knife. The sharpened swedge, important. Now, what we're talking about here on an overall length is 13.5 inches long, which means you're looking at, 8-inch blade, 5-inch, here with a 1/2 inch, dialed up inside of here. So it's a bigger knife. It's just a bigger knife. This is 52-100 steel. This is a very good high carbon steel. Now you're looking at it and you're saying, well, it's not all oiled, so how come it's not rusting? Because people who think they know knives but don't know knives open their mouth about knives they know nothing about. I oiled it. Now it's dry. The oil seeped in. It held. It's not rusting because I store it dry. In the sheath, I store it dry. And because I already oiled it, it's got a nice little... even though you can't see it, it's not slick. You can't feel it when you touch it. But it's coated. The blade's already coated and it's stored dry. And that's the important part. That's why this knife is not all kakagooey. So now we look at the guard. The guard is absolutely on there. I mean, this guard is on there. Look at how wonderful this thing is. The War Machine is meant to be not just combat capable, combat ready, but it's supposed to be able to do everything this knife is made to do, only more. And that's the big separator between them. I mean, just look at this is about 1 3/4 inches wide. 1 3/4 inches. What that means, deeper, bigger, nastier, fatter wound channels, and better overall balance, better weight distribution. Look at the difference when you're talking about these two knives. This one, when you put it in your hand, you're going, oh, hell no. This one, it's like, wow, look at that, a classic K-bar. This is a hell no. This is a, oh my goodness. So I could talk about it all day long. I could try and show you just like this, but it really doesn't matter until we take it outside and give it to what's good for. So let's do that. All right, so remember, I did videos already on both of these knives, so you have a full review already done on both of them, so you can see them. They're both online for sale. This one you can get all over the place, the K-bar. This one right here, you can only get the Kukri house, Khukuri house out of Nepal, and that is the only place you can get the dbad War Machine. So if you want one, you order one. And the difference is this one is made on a machine and they are all stamped out, where this one is hand forged, hand hammered per order. Every single one of these will be handmade specifically for you. Let's give it a 4-foot drop and we'll see what the bite looks like. And you can see, because of this one, it weighs a little more. You can see that the depth is obviously going to be more. This one got about a little over 1/4 inch depth. This one got almost 1 inch of depth. Give it a hard downward throw here. It leaves the hand so nice. Throwing this one, you'll notice it didn't wobble like this one. See this? I don't know if you can actually see that. I'm hoping maybe we can get the angle. Watch this. Now watch this. See the difference? Boing, 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 bang. This one is stiff because it's thicker and stronger. It's just a meatier knife. Leaving the hand, this one, because there's no pommel at the end, it just leaves the hand. If I do this, it's not leaving my hand. It's not going anywhere. But if I want it to leave, it just is very, very smooth. This one, if I do that, it's not going to leave the hand. This isn't going anywhere, just doing that. But leaving the hand, you have your pinky gets caught up there. So, that was not intentional. So you can get a little bit more stuck. So leaving the hand, and you're thinking, well, it's not a throwing knife, but let me tell you something. In combat, sometimes you need to throw a knife. It's just the way it is. If you have an enemy standing in front of you, and I'm not talking about war combat, I'm talking about just down the block combat, any kind of combat. If you've got a combat against a a rabbit, if you're starving and you're out camping and you happen to have a knife on you that you need to be able to release out of your hand so you can get food, I'll tell you what, I want the one that's going to release a little nicer, a little smoother, a little better. And that one is definitely here. Let me try and find something to whack through. Hold on. All right, I think I found something. All right, so we are going to take the K-bar of Orleans, New York, and we are going to place it on the edge, get as much blade as we can to where I can still catch some to bang through with. And there we go. Obviously, it slid out, but you can see that it's going to do the job no matter what. This one gives me a little bit more real estate, but let's see, it's a big, fat, chunky blade. And right away, I mean, it just dove through. It opened up a huge gap. And right away, they do the same job. This one, just a little bit better, but it's only because it's bigger and more massive and more stiff and more awesome. So, that's it. Let's take this guy right here and just see if we can't get a little push. No problem. Let's take this guy right here and see if we can get a push. No problem. The one thing about this one is you have a nice place to put your hand on stuff like that. Now this is a 90 degree, so you can strike with a ferro rod. And this one is not a 90 degree, but I think you can still strike with a ferro rod with this one. I still, however, prefer the edge of the ricasso to use on a ferro rod, so I don't ever have to worry about that anyway. It doesn't concern me. Okay, let's take it over someplace and chop. Okay, not for nothing, the last time I wore this, somebody asked me what it was and where I got it. It's actually a sweater made by Lucky Jeans. It's awesome, man. It's really, really nice. I actually like it so much that I bought someone else one, because it's just really cool. Let's see here. Uh-oh. What did I do? What did I do? I just hit the K-bar and it left. I don't know where it went. So it just shot out. I smashed it. I'll find it. All right, so that was an accident. This one I had in the wood. This one I swung to hit the wood, and I hit the blade right here. You can actually see the little dent. It's I don't know if you can. Right there, you got a little bit of missing black and a little chunk in that steel, little dent. This one, I hit it with the edge, and that's dirt right there. There's no damage to that 52-100. I'll tell you what. I just dented a K-bar with my war machine. All right, so speaking of the K-bar, let's take that K-bar and give it a few whacks. Now this is where the weight distribution is really going to be felt. When you're talking about a chop, you don't want a light front end because then you have to do more of the work than the knife. However, that being said, it's a K-bar. It's built well. This knife has been around for a long time because of the way it's built. Now what I'm doing is I'm holding it way on the end, and I am using that pommel. That pommel sticks out. It gives me a nice little place to hold. Because if I hold it here and try to chop, I have very, very weak chops due to the weight. I mean very weak chops. You need to let this knife come around, and the only way to do that properly, as you can see, is hold it at the end. All right, let's put that down. Let's use this guy. I'm gonna hold it first in a full grip, and you can see that the weight of the blade gives me the same chopping as the K-bar. However, when I was holding the K-bar down here, right? Holding it up here gives me the same as elongating the K-bar. If I elongate this and just put my last two fingers on these last two finger grooves, now all of a sudden, it's like holding an axe. I mean, it's insane when you close down that grip, but it's such a good chopper that I don't have to, because all that weight is right there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this top of the spine here, and I'm just gonna give it a few chops with that sharpened piece, and you're gonna see that even the edge there is chopping. I think you can see that. I hope you're getting in there. It's just easy. I'm gonna use a back cut in reverse grip. to hit one of these branches here, and just like that, that's what you have. Now, does that mean this one in a back cut is less deadly? Well, less deadly. Yes, I just dropped it. I'm all over the place today. Let's see if I can get you guys right here. So I can still hit it, but it's not slicing, it's breaking, because it's a 1095 Crovan hunka awesome. So it's still gonna get the job done. Hoo hoo hoo, ha ha ha. So both of them are gonna work no matter what. If you need an emergency chop, both knives are gonna give you that chop, no matter what. I guarantee it. This K-bar right here, look at that. You see how that works? Just taking off these little branches, it's no problem. The difference is I want less of a no problem. And if I want less of a no problem, I take less of a no problem blade. So I have all this. I just got those two at once. Let's see if I can get another two at once. And I got two at once, and I got that. And now I'm going to switch it around, and I'm just going to use that swedge. And you can see that even the swedge has no problem defeating and chopping and cutting with that part of, look at this. That's the tip. That's the tip of the swedge. You see that? Bam. Just like that. It's just a beast of a knife. It's a beast of a knife. And I am stoked at the way this came out. When you side by side these guys, I mean, no matter where I put that right there, but if I go, you know what I mean? It just hides it. It's an eclipse. Look at that. Look at that. It's gone. Where'd the camera go? Peekaboo, I'm right here. It's just, this knife was made to fill all the gaps that this one left. Not full tang, completely round grip, off in the weight department. The blade is too narrow. The blade is too short. The swedge isn't sharpened. Every single thing that this knife falls short on just a little bit, this knife makes up for. It is a beast, and on the kukrihouse.com, you go in there and you buy them. You just click buy, and what happens is, as soon as you click buy, they get a guy to hand forge one. Not only does he hand forge one, but then he takes the leather and he makes your sheath for the knife. There's no a bin of sheaths and a bin of knives and they just put two together and throw them in a box. When they make your knife, they take the knife after the guy has forged it, and they send it to the guy who does the leather, and he wraps the leather around this particular knife. So no matter, remember, it's hand forged, hammer forged. So your blade could be 8 inches, it could be 8 1/4, 8 1/2. It's going to be all in that area because it's hand forged. It's not machine stamped out. Oh man, it's awesome. It's just a sweet, sweet knife. Everything, and I mean everything about this is hand done. Rosewood handles, the beautiful steel grip, and you can see that it is welded on there. It is awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean, just you can see alone the guards. You want a nice tough guard if it's something that you're going to need to rely on. Let me find out where Roscoe went, because you know what, he's damn dog. That dog of mine. I see one of them. The other one just kind of disappears. But here's the deal. There you go. If you're looking for the ultimate, combat utility knife, and I mean the ultimate combat utility knife, then you want to make sure you're getting exactly what you're looking for. And I know that what I was looking for didn't fulfill me with this knife. It just didn't. But making the changes to better that, that's all I had to do. That's all I had to do. I had to think to myself, in what way would this blade be amazing? And I took every single one of those ways that I felt this blade, this K-bar fell short at, and I made myself a war machine. I mean, a nasty, tasty, wasty, fasty war machine. It is sick, 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 kind of, I mean, just dope, yo. It's awesome. So go over to the kukrihouse.com, go to categories, And then when you hit categories down at the bottom right, you're going to see dbad creations. When you see dbad creations, you're going to see a few knives, and it's growing. There's always going to be more going up there. More of my designs are going up, and every one of them is selling, and everybody that's buying is loving. I haven't gotten a bad press yet. They are fan-freaking-tastic. So here you guys go. Here you go, guys. This is what it's all about. When you're talking the ultimate combat knife, this is a really good knife. This is a really better knife. I am Donnie B all day, and until next knife.